Okay, I think we're live. I hope we're live.
You made it.
Hello and welcome everybody to the 2017. Hang on a minute. Alrighty. Okay. Hello and welcome to the 2017 ACE Symposium, where we're discovering how to claim your authority, elevate your status, and monetize your tribe. And I am going to have to close my browser completely because, hang on just a second. Come on, you. Okay, and close. Okay, all right. All my ducks are in a row, I think. Woo! We have Carlos Redlich in the house. Woo! Live, yay! And we are talking on the topic of ACE positioning with persuasive copy. Hello, Carlos.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I'm so excited. This has been quite the roller coaster ride for me this last couple of months.
We got it. You did a good job putting everybody together in one place. That's always difficult. So I commend you for being able to do that. That's always a pain in the butt.
Thank you. Okay, I got to get this recorded. Okay, we're going to start over from the top again.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, here we go again, this time for reals. Okay, hello and welcome to the 2017 ACE Symposium, where we are discovering how to claim your authority, elevate your status, and monetize your tribe. I am your hostess, Patricia Rezzatello. And today in this session, we are talking live with Carlos Redlich on the copy of ACE Positioning with Persuasive Copy. Hello, Carlos.
Hey, how are you? Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, I am so grateful for you to be on. This has been quite the ride.
Yeah. Well, hey, we made it. We made it. So we're ready to rock and so it's awesome, man. It's awesome. I know it's always a pain. I think I was saying this before. It's always a pain when you have to get so many people together in one spot. So I commend you for being able to organize everything. There's no way I would have been able to do it. So yeah, hats off. I had a hat.
It's a lot like herding cats. I will give you that. It's been a real pleasure to do. It's been just so much fun, and the whole thing. It's like just about anything else that you start out. And I don't know, you get in a relationship or you get married or you start a business and all of a sudden you're overwhelmed by all this stuff and you're like, I can never do this. And you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you come out the other side and you're like, oh my gosh, what else could I
do? Exactly. You just got to go through it. There's no real bad stuff that goes on in your life. It's just little lessons that build.
You just got to go through it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's no biggie.
Okay, so Carlos is a highly sought after direct response copywriter and marketing consultant. He has worked with all levels of entrepreneurs, from 6-figure startups to 9-figure mammoths. As he travels the world and learns about new cultures, his primary mission is to deliver as much value as possible to his fellow marketers and copywriters in an authentic and straightforward manner. Okay, Carlos, so I am going to hand over the screen to you.
Sweet. So I think I should just go ahead. I can just press the little share screen thing, right? I sure hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, you try it.
All right, let's see. Share screen.
There we go.
Do you see the sticky notes? Do you see my PowerPoint?
I see it says Gary V, shoot for the moon so you land in the clouds. Don't shoot for the clouds, you'll land in the trees.
That's right. So you don't see the PowerPoint yet, right? No?
Yeah.
You do?
I can see it.
Oh,
and we're broadcasting, so.
Okay, cool. So you can see, I just want to make sure you guys can see the PowerPoint video or the PowerPoint slides and whatnot.
I see something that says Gary V and that has a quote.
Okay, well, that's definitely not it. So let's see how we can, that's definitely not it. Let's see how we can make it work. Stop share. Okay, let me try this one more time here. Okay, that should be able to record the screen. So do you see it now?
I see it now. There we go.
We got it. We got it. Okay, sweet. So I'm just going to go ahead, press from the start. So today, essentially, thank you so much for having me. Again, like I was saying, what I'm going to be talking about is how to write money-making copy that sucks in cash, even if you're a total beginner who can barely spell. So it's kind of funny. I used to actually really suck at spelling. So it's funny that I'm teaching this now, which is why the headline came up. So anyway, who am I? Who's Carlos Redlich? I'm a lifelong martial artist. I've actually trained in Jeet Kune Do and Filipino Kali for just under 20 years. I'm a salesman, a motion hacker, direct response copywriter, and I kind of follow. I'm the founder of I Love Jeet Kune Do on Facebook. It's funny because I followed along my actual path. Like I love martial arts. I love Jeet Kune Do. I love all of that stuff. And so I was like, well, you know what? I mean, I love it so much. I used to own 2 martial arts schools a few years ago. And I ended up, selling that off to go fully online. But I was like, man, it would be so cool if I could still be involved in the Jeet Kune Do world and the whole martial art community. Even if I'm not actively teaching or maybe training as much as I used to, I want to be active in it. So I actually, because of the internet, because of copywriting, I've been able to develop one of the biggest Jeet Kune Do followings on Facebook. And we do tons of stuff. We're actually starting to do seminars. It's really cool stuff. So anyway, that's just a small bit about myself. So what can you expect today? We're going to be covering what makes people actually want to buy, how to remove the fear of buying, how to influence action, how to write emotionally charged Facebook ads that get results. Now there's 2 forms of Facebook ads. There's a long form and a short form. We'll be going over both forms of that. This presentation should only be about 45 minutes to an hour. And at the end, I'm going to offer you my lazy copywriting course, just like any good copywriter would. And there's only 1 of 2 things that will really happen. Either you'll see the value and you'll order, or you won't, and no worries, you'll still benefit from this training. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. All right, so there's people principles. Before we really dive in, we have to understand who we're talking to. We have to understand what people are really like. So people want the magic pill, and they'll literally pay virtually anything to get it, right? So that you see this a lot in promotions that are selling weight loss, for example. There's you have to be careful, obviously, because you don't want to be destroyed by the feds and all the good alphabet agencies. But when you're selling stuff, the reason weight loss kind of gets scrutinized is because depending on how well you write the copy, you could frame it like such a magic pill that it's impossible. So you want to make sure that you're writing something that may be the magic pill, but you got to scale it back to what is real and what's ethical and everything. But as close as you can get to writing the magic pill, the better you are. And as a matter of fact, just kind of touch on that a little more. Whenever I write my first drafts of pretty much any kind of copy, it's totally non-compliant. Like it's not something I could actually put out because I would get sued. But right. But it's really about it is that I get on paper, I get exactly what these people want. And so maybe I'll have to pull back from that a little, but at least I get exactly what they want. And now I just have to scale it down a little. Mm-hmm. Okay, so another element is people hate work. They literally despise it. We have to go to work and then we hate it because we look at the clock and we're just like, oh my gosh, it's almost 5 p.m. Can't wait to get out of work, right? So people hate work. They may think they like it, but they generally dislike work. People buy hopes and dreams. There's actually a very funny story. I won't get too raw into it because it is kind of it's kind of interesting. But there's a hopes and dreams story that I've told a few times, and it's because a buddy of mine sells these little. They're like these little wristband type thing, like a little bracelet, and essentially it's supposed to keep you balanced and all of this stuff. I really don't know too much about that or the market, but the way he sells it is what I think is amazing. So he realized that he wasn't able to sell these things nearly as effective as when he had 7 other attractive ladies who were selling for him. And so here's what he did. He's the one who actually introduced this to me, this whole hopes and dreams thing. He's like, look, I'm selling these things at boat shows and car shows where it's a bunch of guys going in there all testosterone out, liking all this stuff. And they're not going to buy it from they do, but they much rather buy it from somebody they find attractive. And they didn't find my buddy who was overweight and a big beard attractive. So I love this guy. So what he did is he hired 7 ladies, essentially like models, and they would just pass out these little, they would get the people to buy the wristbands. But the way they did it is he also gave them what he called burner phones, right? If you don't know what a burner phone is, it's like the street terminology of like, this is where you do your illegal business on the phone and then you throw it away in case the cops have to like come after you. So this was like his burner phone deal. And so these ladies would always get approached by all the different guys at these events and they'd say, oh my gosh, I'd love to get your number. I'd like to go out with you. They'd always want to go out with these ladies. But what they would do is say, hey, you know what? I can't do it until I sell like 100 of these wristbands or else my boss is going to kill me. What's your number? Do you think you can help me out? Maybe we can hook up after or later or talk later or whatever. And these guys would be selling hopes and dreams. They'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll buy all of it. I'll buy everything. No problemo, right? And so they'll get the credit card, get the money, buy the stuff, and then the sales lady, the saleswoman, she would give them in return her burner phone telephone number, right? So what does she have? She has now a list of people who may be interested in her, but they're a list of buyers, and these buyers will do pretty much anything she says. And he had 70 of these women working for him, crushing sales. I mean, they were making over 6 figures just as going to these boat shows. I mean, it was unbelievable. And each one of those ladies was crushing. So hopes and dreams. That's literally the epitome. I mean, whether you're ethically happy about how he did that or not, people buy hopes and dreams, and I've always thought that was such a great way to illustrate it, So
that's hysterical, but that's a good illustration.
Right? Yeah. So, okay. And then on top of that, people want to feel appreciated. It's literally one of the number one things people complain about. They either feel underappreciated in the relationship, or they go to work and they feel like their boss doesn't appreciate what they do, or whatever it might be. They're always feeling underappreciated. So actually showing appreciation, saying, hey, thanks so much for even reading this message, that is taking you a long way. Saying, hey, I really appreciate you doing business with me. I know there's millions of other people you could have done business with, so I appreciate earning that respect from you. Something like that. It makes people feel like, man, this person's a straight shooter. I like that. Something about them I trust, right? So you want to make sure you're always showing appreciation. On top of that, people love to feel understood. It's kind of like it's similar to being appreciated, but you want to feel like, man, this person appreciates what I've done, but they understand my struggle. They understand when I don't feel happy when they say a certain thing. And so when people feel understood, they feel listened to. And so if they feel listened to, understood, and appreciated, and you're selling them on hopes and dreams, man, you're really doing some good stuff there, right? Now, the big thing that makes this all work is it's kind of down to what you were saying for this event. It's positioning yourself. You want to be credible. If you're not credible, you'll have a harder time selling. So one of the ways, and I'll just kind of throw it in here, is imagine if you wrote a book. Well, if you wrote a book, people will think that you're a credible expert on whatever topic that book is about because you wrote a book. And nowadays you can self-publish. I've self-published a book. It's called the Copywriting Playbook, and it's on Amazon. I did it through CreateSpace, and anyone can do this. And as soon as you do it, you are now officially an expert. And in any of your sales copy and any of the stuff that you do, you can now say, Carlos Redlich, who's a published author, who's been on multiple podcasts or whatever it might be, that stuff right there, it makes people say, okay, I can trust this person. What they're saying is accurate. It's like going to the doctor. The doctors are like the best closers in the world. Like the doctor doesn't have to say, hey, this MRI is going to be like $10,000 or something. You want to get it now or later? They don't have to close you. If the person's like, oh, I don't know if I can afford it, they'll be like, yeah, but you're going to die. Like, yeah, you better borrow some money or something. You got to do it, right? So you want to position yourself to be kind of like the doctor in your industry so that whatever you say, there's no way to go about it. You've got to do it, right? So that's just some of the background. Those are some people principles before we get started. Now, I'm going to go into what are essentially the 13 critical sales elements that you can use for different types of copy. But the way I structured it here, it's in a very systematic way where you can literally follow it straight down the line, step 1, step 2, all the way to 13, and write a full-blown sales letter or video sales letter script, which is very powerful. I actually just followed this right now. I have it printed out in my little office right on top, where it shows me all the steps. And I just, whenever I write sales letters, I just, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. So the elements that I'm about to show here are essentially step-by-step what you can do to write the sales page or a video sales letter script. But there's elements in here which you can use to write emails, to write Facebook ads, and we'll go into that a little bit more. Okay, so element number one, you've got to steal attention, right? So think of this, if you're on a sales page, think of it like the big headline at the top that's grabbing their attention. Something has to break the pattern, right? Especially if you're doing stuff online. You've probably got about 3 to 5 seconds, it's probably less, but 3 to 5 seconds to really grab someone's attention before they click the back button and go somewhere else, right? So you've got to make sure that you're grabbing attention. So one of the ways that I've found that really works well is I use what's called a news intro. So if I'm selling stuff to 50-year-old white Republican males who are interested in like financial stuff, then I would probably use an introduction that looks very similar to like CNN or some kind of financial reports TV station or something, right? Because that's what they're used to using, and it'll be a pattern interrupt because now they're like, hey, this isn't just a sales presentation. This is like a real, is this like news? It's kind of like fake news. That's us, guys. That's us. So Trump blew the lid on all of our operations. But that's essentially it, right? So just an example, I have it right here. You can have, I already said it. So revolutionary health discoveries, things like that. I mean, these are just headlines and stuff, but whenever you can think of interrupting someone's day and just kind of saying, oh, that's you. Whoever's watching this right now, they may or may not be familiar with a person named Frank Kern. Frank Kern does this unbelievably. He's really, really good at this. He's actually one of the people that I've kind of studied for this. And what he'll do is he'll start off like playing a guitar, and he'll sell marketing information and business information. But instead of saying, hey, do you need business information? He'll start off with something like him playing a guitar or him surfing on the beach or something totally not what you would think. And so what it does is it's an intro, and it just grabs your attention, right? So that's element number one that you want to keep in mind. Okay, element number two, it's the big problem. So you want to identify what the biggest problem is that's going on in their life right now. It's like the pillow talk, that's going on, right? Like, here's what I mean by pillow talk, because I'm going like 1,000,000 miles a minute. So what I mean by pillow talk is the problems that they speak about with their spouse when they're laying on their pillow at night and are like, I don't know if I can make rent tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to be able to pay the car insurance, or I don't know if we're going to have enough food for the week. What are we going to? So these are the problems that they're talking about, but they won't talk about it with anybody else. They're just talking about it either to themselves or to their loved one or whatever it might be. But that's what you want to identify. And one of the ways that I've been able to kind of tap into this, because when you're a freelance copywriter like myself, you write for different niches. And so when you're doing that, you have to be able to quickly tap into what people are actually thinking and understanding what their real problems are. And the way I've been able to kind of hack around and do this is I stole this from Jay Abraham. I didn't make this trick up, but it's a great trick. Is you go on Amazon and you type, it's an Amazon review trick. So let's say I'm selling weight loss to mothers who have just had a child and they're like 33 years old or something. I would go on Amazon. I would say pregnancy, weight loss, or something like baby fat weight loss, something like that. I would put it in the search bar, and then I would find all of the books that are essentially targeting my target market. They're writing to them, right? And then the sneaky thing is you go and you sort all of those books and all of those programs by the reviews. So you want to look at the books that have 100, 200, 1,000 reviews, and then you want to look at all of the 5-star reviews. And when you look at those 5-star reviews, you're going to get a real inside look as to what people are really thinking, as to what made them buy. What was the big change? One of the things I actually wrote for that demographic. That's why I use this example. I actually wrote for that niche before, and one of the ladies in the review had said something like, I have a confession to make. I'm 33 years old. I just had my baby, and I've been trying to work. I've been trying to like lose all my baby fat, and I haven't been able to. I've got P90X, Billy Blanks' kickboxing stuff, and this, that, and the other thing, and nothing seems to work, or it seems too intense for me right now. I've never been able to do anything, but then something crazy happened and I found this amazing program. And so when you do that, they're really identifying the problem. The problem in that case was they've already purchased so many of these different programs, and these programs may be great for some people, but they weren't geared for mothers who just had a baby. So maybe it was too intense for them or whatever it might be, right? So it's a really cool way to actually tap into your audience's head. And then what you want to do on top of that is look at all the 1- and 2-star reviews. And when you're looking at those reviews, those are basically going to be your objection obliterators, right? So these are the objections people are coming up with. They're like, hey, I hated this program because it didn't have a weight loss guide. Okay, cool. So now in your program, you'll say, the best part about this is you have a weight loss guide, right?
Yeah.
So they literally will identify it. And one of the things, and I'll show this, it's actually element number 13 is include or actually element number 14 is a bonus one, is include FAQs. And FAQs, frequently asked questions, and I'm kind of jumping around, but it's important to point out that you can take those 1 and 2 star reviews and turn them into questions, and then answer those questions in a frequently asked questions type of manner. You can have 10 frequently asked questions or the top 20 frequently asked questions, and that way you're literally handling every objection they have like a bullet point, like bang, 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 and then just crushing it. So that's probably the most powerful one that I've used. There's other ways to do it. I've done this as well, where you run an ad and essentially ask your audience what it is that they would buy. So one of the things that I've done is in my Jeet Kune Do, in my martial art niche, I have my Facebook fan page. And so on my fan page, I'll post 2 pictures, like 2 paintings, so to speak. And essentially these paintings or these images are the same images that I would be putting on a t-shirt and trying to sell to my audience. But before I try to sell them anything, I say, hey, which one of these pictures do you think kicks butt more, A or B? And then I boost it for $100 or whatever it is and get a bunch of engagement, and get a bunch of people saying, oh, I love this one, I love that one, blah, 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 blah. And then I pick the winner, I put it on a t-shirt, and I slap it on, I throw it out there, and bam, you get some sales, because now you're targeting exactly what they want. And instead of guessing and wondering, you say, hey, what do you like, this or that? And then they tell you, and you just offer it to them, right?
Yeah.
So that's a huge way. That's a huge way to use paid advertising, Facebook ads in particular, for very cheap, to start actually doing kind of like sales detective work, as John Carlton puts it, and really investigating what your audience wants. Another thing, like I have here, I don't use this as much anymore. I used to maybe a year and a half or so ago, but it's still good depending on what you're doing. I call it hashtag detective work. And essentially you go on Instagram and you type in the hashtag of whatever you're going to write for, right? So if you're writing to like hardcore weightlifters to sell them some kind of supplement of some kind, then I would find like whatever the weightlifting, powerlifting hashtags are on Instagram, and I would stalk all of the pictures that are getting tons of comments, and I would look through the comments and start seeing what people are saying. Are they saying, wow, dude, how did your arms get that big? How did your legs, or whatever it might be? And if I have, 100 people versus 20 people that say, oh, that something about the person's arms, well, then I'll probably include something in my copy that says, hey, your arms are going to get swole as ever, right? They're going to get, right? Because that's what they like, right? So if that's what they like, you've done the detective work and just identified. You've literally just hovered over them, listened to the people in the community speak, and then hovered back to your little desk to write the copy, right? So it's very simple. And then compile a list of all their many complaints. That was essentially taking the 1 and 2 star reviews. So for element number 2, it's super important that you're actually able to identify the problem. If you skip this, if you screw this up, the rest of the copy almost doesn't matter, because if you don't know the big problem that you're solving, you can't sell them anything, because you're selling a solution to some problem, right? So element number 3, now we offer the magic pill solution. So in element number 1 here, and element number 1, and element number 2, and element number 2, we're really painting the picture of this big problem that they're going to have. And then in element number 3, we're essentially showing them that there's a light at the end of a tunnel. We're saying, hey, I've been there, or I know somebody who's been in your same shoes, face the exact same problem, and still overcame it somehow, right? Or whatever the unlikely solution might be. And so when you're doing that, you're literally just giving them hope. And you've resonated with them enough to where they trust you, and now they're like, okay, this person kind of has my best interest in mind, I hope, but you're showing them a light at the end of the tunnel. So one of the things that you're gonna, and this is what the third bullet is, the story of skepticism and how the hero overcame it. You're gonna have people who are reading this who may want what you have, because it's a magic pill. Of course they would want it. But with any magic pill, there's always skepticism. And so you wanna identify that, and you wanna hit it before they start getting in their own head about how this is BS or this is a scam, it's not right, whatever. So you just have a story in there. And stories are the most powerful way to sell and relate to somebody. So when you include a story that's something like, and one of our members, John B or whatever, he almost didn't order. He just wrote in and said that he was on the fence about ordering or whatever it might be. I'm slipping on my freestyle story here, but essentially, he was on the fence, he was struggling, whatever it might be, but then he figured out how to overcome it using this product, and then he suspended his disbelief and kept pushing, kept doing it, and won. Whatever, right? That's kind of the storyline, and you just fill in the blanks with all of your actual story. But as long as you're relating to them with that story and identifying the skepticism, that's what you're really trying to overcome. So whatever the story is fine, as long as the point of the story is to overcome that skepticism.
Right.
And so just kind of going back to what we were saying before, the solution needs to be as close to the magic pill solution as you can possibly make it. Literally, the laziest, most done-for-you solution will be the best solution out there. The more complicated the solution, or the more they have to do, almost always will lower response. Very few times will it actually increase response. Like if you're, again, doing something with like power lifters, they don't want the laziest solution. They want, you can literally write stuff like, you're going to follow this workout program and it's going to hurt. It's going to be the worst 9 weeks of your life. But you know what? You're going to have bigger arms, bigger legs, bigger, chest, and whatever the heck it is at the end of this 9 weeks. And everybody's going to stare at you in awe. They're going to wonder how you grew 20 pounds in the last 2 weeks or whatever, and all solid muscle and whatever it is. But see, now you're tapping into it, but it's going to be raw. It's going to be hard, and you're not going to like it. You're just going to like the results because these guys are roiding up, right? They're right? They're big, gorilla monster people. So they're okay with that testosterone. Yeah, I like to work hard and I want to go crazy, right? So that comes back to understanding your market. And once you understand that, you can kind of break the rules, so to speak, right? Where you wouldn't offer the laziest solution. But 9 times out of 10, you want to offer the laziest solution, right? Okay, so element number 4. Why someone should trust and believe you, right? So you want to make sure that it's kind of going back to that whole thing about being the doctor. If you're the doctor and you're the credible person, people are going to trust you. People are going to believe you. But you don't want, in your sales copy, you don't want to have an elaborate 10-page report on how amazing you are, because people don't care about that. They just need to have some kind of credibility to justify them listening to you and taking your advice, right? So you just kind of you have to justify that in their head. They're like, oh, well, he clearly knows what he's doing, or she clearly knows what they're doing because of X, Y, and Z. So one of the things that I use is, here's my example. My name is Carlos Redlich, and I specialize in helping 7-figure business owners optimize their campaigns to increase their conversion rates. I've been featured in Content Magazine, a European marketing magazine, and have also been a guest on hundreds of podcasts. So what does that say? I'm some kind of expert in helping people make a ton of money, right? It doesn't say it's copy. It's probably some kind of market, but what it does is it establishes me as some kind of expert in the field, right? And since I don't have a PhD degree or any of that, I have to use it by saying, my clients, I help 7-figure business owners. That's totally true. As a matter of fact, most of my clients are 7-figure. That's why I'm a 6-figure guy, because my clients are 7, 8, 9-figure people. I couldn't make 6 figures if my clients were less than, right? It just doesn't work. So that's just an example on being able to briefly and quickly hit that credibility point. So now they're able to really start listening to you and paying attention. Okay, element number 5, you want to stack the benefits. So after you've given your credibility and you've kind of already identified the product and everything, you want to identify the features and the benefits in a bullet form type of fashion. So for anybody who doesn't know what a feature and a benefit is, I'm sure a lot of people do already, but a feature would be like the light bulb is very bright. Why is that important? Well, the benefit to that would be so I don't hit my shin on the side of the bed, or whatever it might be, right? Whatever. So that would be the feature, the benefit. And you would want the feature to be kind of bolded. You want that to be the first thing in your bullet point. And then your why is that important copy, your benefit copy, would be literally right after the feature. So hopefully that makes sense, but you would essentially hit them like 5 or 7 bullet points. And so essentially it's 5 to 7 features and benefits. And when you're doing that, you're stacking it up so it increases the value of whatever it is that you're offering, right? So element number 6, you want to have some kind of proof to overcome their BS meter. So it's very similar to how we were saying they're skeptical a little bit. They were a little skeptical before, so we included some kind of story to overcome their skepticism so they would keep on reading and go down the path. Then we showed them that, hey, we're actually like the doctors of our industry. We're super credible. And so when we did that, they kept on reading. And now they're like, man, this is still good, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if is anyone else seeing results? Maybe let me go Google and see if there's any like rip-off reports or something, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to keep them on the page and answer all of these questions that are just kind of popping up, again, skepticism is something that you're always going to have to overcome. And the more proof that you have, the better it is. So proof could be stuff like using testimonials. And there's 2 types of testimonials that I like to use primarily. There's a result-based testimonial where it's like, I worked with Carlos and I lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks on his fitness boot camp program or whatever, right? Then there's skepticism. I almost didn't work with Carlos because I was tight on cash and it was a lot of money, but I suspended my disbelief, took the leap of faith, and I couldn't be happier. It was the best decision of my life. I highly suggest everyone else to do it too, or whatever it is. So now those 2 types of testimony, and as many testimonials as you can have. I mean, shoot, I'll have like 7 or 10 testimonials in one section. Then at the end, if like at the end of my sales pages, if you've got like hundreds of testimonials, I would just flood them on the bottom of I mean, it doesn't even matter, how long it goes, because that's the end of your pitch anyway. But back to this, you want to use testimonials. They're super huge. On top of that, there's 2 other ways, or there's a couple ways, but 2 other examples on how to overcome their skepticism and their BS meter is to use case studies. Case studies would essentially be like, if you helped somebody, again, I'm going back to the weight loss example. So if you help somebody lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks, well, then you do kind of a report or an article, again, a case study on how you help them achieve those results, right? And at the end of that, you have something that would say, and you can achieve the same results too by following this program or whatever it might be, right? But including those case studies, now you've got testimonials, people saying, yeah, this definitely worked. Now, so that's social proof. Then you've got a case study, which is a little bit more social proof, because now it's saying, hey, here's exactly how we did it. I mean, I'm not even I'm not lying. I'm not BSing. Here are the steps we followed and executed on. And so now people are like, okay, well, this is real. It was a real, like these people saw results on top of it. And here's proof because this person explained how it was done. And then on top of that, if you're selling anything that shows people how to make money, you almost always want to have income snapshots. Think of it like the before and after pics in weight loss, right? It's same type of stuff, right? Before I was broke, after I'm rich. Before I was fat, after I'm skinny. Before I was skinny, after I'm buff and big and huge, or whatever these other people want, right? Whatever it is. But those before and after shots are super huge. And just to touch on a point, if people saw that tactic is kind of borrowed from the weight loss industry, but we can apply it to the make money industry and all these different things. So if you're ever stuck on ideas of how to market, look outside of your industry, because if you can find something that may be common in one industry, it can be totally revolutionary in another. So it's very important to make sure you keep your eyes open and look around to see what's there. So element number 7, your irresistible offer. This is literally probably actually short of, I almost want to say secondary to identifying the big problem, because if you don't know the big problem, you can't make an irresistible offer. But your irresistible offer is probably like hands down one of the most important parts of your copy, because of anything, whether it's your sales page, your Facebook ad, it doesn't matter. Your offer will overcome weak copy. If you've got for example, I actually have this example here. If you're selling a Ferrari that's normally $120,000, but right now, while you're at the dealership, you can get it for only $49,000 with a $2,000 down payment. That's a freaking no-brainer, irresistible offer. The only thing you're going to have to overcome now is skepticism that that's not a broken down car or ripped off car or something.
Yeah, that there's something wrong with this.
Exactly. And but the irresistible offer should be something like that. It's got to feel like it's a no-brainer offer. It's a steal of a deal, and it's just got to be like the Ferrari example, right? Like it would be silly if you didn't take them up on this offer, right? So after you've done that, now you want to offer the guarantee, the risk reversal. This is element number 8. And one of the things that I've discovered is that if you're selling a high ticket offer, high ticket meaning say $1,000 or more, then in this $10,000, $15,000, I would offer, and if you can do this, I would definitely offer a longer guarantee. So for example, if I'm offering a $10,000 service and it's something like that, I would say, listen, if after 365 days, a 1 year commitment from you, you see 0 results, I'll give you all of your money back, all $10,000, no questions asked, no hard feelings, right? So the longer the guarantee, the better, because it makes them feel comfortable that this isn't like I'm spending 10 grand and I got 30 days to see if this is going to work or not. Holy shit. I don't know if it's going to work or not. You know? But if then it's different. On top of that, what ends up happening is if you've only got like 17 days, I think it's so silly, and I could be wrong because I haven't tested this in like 2 years, but you know, I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed. People who use guarantees are like, you have a 17-day money-back guarantee or a 7-day, like thinking because they're using the number 7 or whatever, it's going to work. That sucks. Like, people want a guarantee. The fact that you're taking the guarantee away from them and cutting it down from the standard 30-day guarantee that pretty much everybody in the world uses, that's going to make them want to circle on the calendar the day they've got to return the offer, because if they don't like it on day 6 or day 14 or whatever, you can believe that they're going to be like, oh, hey, I got to return this right now, because if not, I'm going to get screwed. So
and the other thing about that is, I'm sorry. And the other thing about that is like, let's say you're selling a low ticket item, you know, it's $47. And typically we say a 30-day guarantee on this. Well, let's say you give them a year. They're going to forget about it at that point. 30 days, they're still going to remember it. They're going to say, oh, I need that $50.
Exactly. And there's so many ways to do, like, I mean, I don't like to do the longer guarantees always for like the $49 ones, but you can definitely do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, because it's most of the time what will happen is exactly what you said. They're just going to forget about it, right? Yeah. So that's huge. Another way of actually this is a little bit semi-off topic, but since we're talking about reducing refunds a little, if you're selling anything that's going to arrive in the mail, make sure that you send them a letter in the mail that thanks them for the order, confirms that they've made the best decision in the world, and then upsells them to do something else, right? It's going to reduce the refunds, and it's going to recommit them into buying something else. And if they keep on buying from you, they'll be happy, right? So just keep on having them buy, make them happy, right? Okay, so element number 9, you need a reason for immediate action, right? So if delay is the death of the sale. It's a very famous salesman saying, and it's true in this case as well. If someone has read your sales page or any product page, whatever page you're on, if they've read that far or watched your video, then they have to be able to take action now, because if not, life is going to happen, and we're in a world where we're always being distracted. Distractions are popping up on our phone every single day. I mean, in order to talk right now, I've actually had to put my phone in airplane mode, because if not, I'm going to have emails and messages blowing me up, and I won't be able to get anything done. So if we take people, get them down this path where they're hot and heavy and ready to buy, and don't give them a reason to act now. And when I say reason to act now, saying something like, hey, if you don't buy right now, this $49 deal, after the first 100 buyers, it's going to go up to $97. So you make sure you do it right this second, or else you're going to have to pay more for the same product, and you don't want that, right? Or urgently saying, hey, this promo is only lasting for the next 7 days, and if you don't take action right now, you're going to lose out on it forever. So make sure you take action right this second, whatever it might be, but you're giving them a reason. So it's like when their spouse says, hey, why did you buy that? You should have waited a few more weeks. Oh, no, I couldn't, because if not, the price is going to go up from $49 to $99, so I had to act now. Oh, no, I had to act now because there was only a 7-day promo, and we were on day 3, and I didn't want them to sell out. I didn't know, so I had to act right then, right? That, when you're writing, that's what you want to picture in their head. When someone says, hey, why did you buy that shit right now? So that they don't refund, you give them the reason. Oh, well, I had to do it because of this, that, and the other thing. So you make sure that they've got a reason to justify the purchase afterwards, right? They're buying on emotion and then justifying it with logic. So what I always like to do is insert another, if you can insert maybe 3, 4, 5 different testimonials at this point as well, I would do it. But even inserting one other testimonial is good because you've essentially given them the reason to act now. You've taken the risk away by saying, hey, there's money back guarantee, but you got to act right this second. And now they're like on the edge. They're like, oh man, I got to take action. I got to take action. Should I not? Boom, you hit them with a testimonial. So it builds trust again. They're like, man, this person had good success. And there's so many testimonials of people having success. Shoot, I should just do it right now. Forget it. It's only $49. It's less than the cost of a phone bill. I may as well do it right now. And so they're going through this, and that's what you want to make them, push them to be able to do. And that's what you're influencing by following these steps. Okay. Element number 10, the call to action. So a lot of people will overcomplicate this, right? It's got to be very clear. Sometimes when you try to be very cute and, fancy with your call to action, people won't understand what the heck they're doing or what the heck you want them to do. And if they don't know specifically step by step what the next course of action is, you're going to lose them, right? So for example, one thing that I like to do is when people click the button to go to the order page, if you're not what people are testing now for anyone that's listening is actually including the credit card, the buying information, the billing information at the end of the page. So they don't actually click to order anywhere and get taken to an order page to then fill in their billing information. They actually fill it out on that same page. Yeah. So that's something to test. But anyway, one of the things that I like to do is I pre-frame people so that they know what's going to happen after they take action, right? So after they've clicked the button, I'll say you're going to be taken to, once you click over, I have an example. Once you click over, you'll be taken to a secure order page where you'll fill out your billing details. After that, you'll be granted exclusive access to XYZ program or whatever it might be. But whenever you're asking them to take action and you're very clear about it, and you tell them exactly what's going to happen afterwards, you increase conversions, right? And one of the things that I learned, I think Ryan Dice mentioned it, and then I started testing it in my martial arts stuff, and I started seeing results from it, was including multiple call to actions. It could literally be the same copy, like, yes, I want this product now, but instead of having only one button on the page to order, if you've got a long page and long copy, I would include 3 or 5 different buttons on the page, so it gives them more opportunities to click and purchase, right? So it's very important. You want to include, the more call to action buttons you have, the higher chance for conversion, right? Okay, so element number 11, predict the future if no action is taken, right? So we want to paint the picture, kind of like how we painted the picture in the beginning of what the big problem was. We want to restate that. We want to push it back and we want to say, listen, if you don't take action, here's what's going to happen, right? Here's an example. Chances are high that if you don't take action today, you probably never will. That means you'll be stuck seeing the exact same results and the exact same bank account balance and then blah, blah, and you just really paint that picture out so that they're like, man, I've got to take action. I got to do it. I got to do it, right? There's no reason not to. So this is painting the picture of what would happen if they did not take action. Element number 12 is the final reminder, right? Now on this final reminder, I like to essentially stack those top features and benefits. It doesn't have to be the same ones that you used beforehand in the first part of the copy. It can be different ones. I personally like using different ones because you never know which bullet point is going to make them want to buy. So I like to throw in as many of them as possible, right? So it's like bullet, 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 bullet. One of these is going to hit you, right? So you want to make sure you include different ones that are still compelling so that it can convert. You want to remind them of the guarantee so that now they're like, hey, there's no, I've listed these examples here. I'm not even reading them. Okay, example. Remember, you have absolutely nothing to lose. You'll get blank, blank, and blank. And on top of that, you're also fully covered by my 30-day money-back guarantee, making this totally risk-free. And then I would add, right, but you've got to act now because if you don't, after the first 100 people, we're raising the price, and this 7-day promo ends in the next 48 hours or whatever it is, right? Because now we're giving them those last final reminders. Think of it as that last final push. They're right there at the edge of the fence, and you're just like pushing their butt over, like get over, just go, fall over. right? And so that's actually element number 13. I just mentioned it. You want to repeat the scarcity, repeat the urgency. So for example, listen, you need to take action right now before 100 people sign up and the price increases. This is a limited time offer and it's on a first come, first serve basis. Act now, right? Make them do that, and then it's pushing them over the edge. Now, the bonus element, the FAQs, this is what I was mentioning in the beginning, and it's one of the things that's really made a big difference in my copy. Because think of this as like your final stand. It's your final objection obliterator. If they've gone through all of this copy and you've made your case and you're trying to get them to buy, you've given them a money-back guarantee and testimonials and all of this awesome stuff, and they're just still not there, well, this is your last stand. This is like, look, here are the top 20 questions from all the other people who wanted to buy but didn't buy or almost didn't buy and then ended up buying, right? Whatever it is, but you identify it and you're like, here we go. Any kind of objection that you can think of, you put it here, right? Even restating certain things like, what happens after I order? Is something mailed to me? No, nothing is mailed to you. That's a great question, but you're going to, you'll get instant access as soon as you fill in your billing details. Okay, perfect. And then I would include at the end of every answer some kind of call to action. So make sure you click the button on this page and secure your order. Yeah. Question number 2, is there a refund policy? Yes, there is a refund policy. As a matter of fact, it's a 30-day no weasel clause money back guarantee. So if you absolutely hate what we just sold you, just let us know. We'll give you all your money back. Make sure you click the button on this page and order right now before the first 100 people do and the price increases, and so on and so forth. And so that way, we're not just answering their question, we're answering their question and pushing them to action every single time, right? So those are the 13 sales elements. Again, you can use that literally in like numerical order to write your sales page, but you can also take bits and pieces of that, like the scarcity, the urgency, the stealing attention, things like that, and include them in stuff for Facebook ads, emails, and whatnot, right? So in this next segment of the presentation, I'm going to be showing how to write emotionally charged Facebook ads that convert like crazy in 5 easy steps, right? And there's actually a 2-step one that'll show you after 2 or 3 step. So the first step in this one, this is what I call the long form Facebook ad copy. And here's when you would want to use this, just to pre-frame it a little bit. You want to use this kind of style when you're selling like a high ticket deal, when you're selling a webinar, for example. If you're trying to push people to a webinar where you're going to eventually pitch them like a $1,000 product or something at the end, you want to pre-qualify them, you want to warm them up and resonate with them as much as possible. And plus, one of the things that we've started noticing in like the B2B world is the longer copy is starting to get more engagement and starting to get more shares and likes. And when that happens, the relevancy score on Facebook goes up for your post or for your ad, and that way your ad cost is actually going down because people are resonating with it, they're liking it, and so it's becoming more viral, right? So the first step is ask a yes question, right? You want them to say yes before they read anything else. Generally with a Facebook ad, the image will be the thing that stops the people, and then the copy will be what lures them in to click or whatever it might be. So asking a yes question, for example, want more customers? The obvious answer would be yes, right? Depending on who you're targeting, right? And then you would include, right after that question, you would want to include a link. And the best type of links that I've seen work are where you do these 3 equal signs and that little bracket gator looking thing or whatever. I forget what that's called. And then you just include the link. So yes question, link, and then you move on to step 2. Step 2 is a story to relate to them, right? So it needs to be like you're literally tapping into the conversation that they're having right there in their head. It's, again, going back to that pillow talk type of stuff, right? For example, I remember doing everything I could to grow my business, but no matter how hard I tried, nothing seemed to work. And then I would list out some examples of what I tried, and generally I would try and list out some examples that maybe my reader has tried. So they're like, oh my gosh, this person has done the same thing I've done. They know exactly what I'm going through, right? And so now that's the story to relate to them. And it's to identify the struggle, the pain, and the problems. And then step 3, the big aha moment. This is like the big plot twist that's showing a prospect that there's that light at the end of the tunnel. So one of the big transition phrases, the most common transition phrases that I use for pretty much all my canned Facebook ads or canned pitches when I'm just like putting something out fast, I use, but then something crazy happened, right? You can literally use that for anything. You can say, do you like coffee? I remember when I was drinking tons of coffee in my early 30s or whatever, and the coffee mug was always so warm and blah, blah, blah. But then something crazy happened, right? And that's a very easy transition. You can use it for anything. So there's that. So that's essentially what it is. It's a big plot twist, and then you're going to go into suggesting the possible solution. So here's where a lot of people kind of screw it up. They'll automatically say, hey, this is going to work for you, guaranteed, blah, 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 blah. This isn't where you're selling them as much as you are trying to relate to them and kind of get them to trust you, right? Your sales page is meant to sell the product. Your ad is meant to sell a click. So you want to just sell the click. And one of the things that you want to do is how do people feel, how would somebody trust you? If you were to say, hey, this is going to work for you guaranteed. Well, I don't know. You don't know my problems. No, don't worry. I don't need to know your problems. It's going to work for you guaranteed. I don't know. A lot of people would be skeptical about that because they'll be like, well, how do you know it's going to work? You don't know. You know my problem, right? So one of the things that I'll do is I've gotten them so hot and heavy and ready to kind of be excited to be my friend because I've asked them the yes question. I've identified that I'm almost the same as them and I identified a problem. Then I said, hey, there's a big solution to that problem too that I figured out. And so now they're like, oh man, I want that solution. I want that solution. And you say, listen, it's worked for me and it's for all of my friends. Hell, it's worked for hundreds of other folks. Maybe it'll work for you too. And so when you say that maybe it'll work for you too, you're suggesting it. And so that in their head, they're saying, oh man, I hope it works for me. I want that to work. Look, this person, it worked for them. They're just like me. I hope it works for me. And so they're constantly playing this in their head. And again, this is split second stuff. It's not like they're saying that forever, but you want to trigger that thought in their head. So now they keep on reading. And then the step 5 would be the very clear call to action that says, so to get the full scoop and see if you qualify, click here or whatever it might be, right? So you've gotten them to, in step 4, to hope that this solution that's worked for you and worked for hundreds or thousands of other people, right? Social proof. You've gotten them to want that solution to work for them. And then here you give them the exact call to action needed to figure out if that solution will work for them. They want to learn more. They're obviously interested. So here you go. You're interested? Click here to get the full scoop and see if you qualify, right? So that's a very simple thing. You can follow that to sell anything from water to coffee to Facebook webinars and anything. You can literally just use those 5 steps to sell it. Okay. Now, short form ad secrets. This is something that I've been actually playing with a little more myself. I've noticed that for my martial art niche, it's starting to work really, really well, where I essentially just ask a yes question, drop a link, and put a call to action. And I'll show you what that is. So here's what's working right now with short form. You ask the yes question. You have a link. So you'll see in my example, want more students in your mixed martial arts school? Link. Click here to grow your MMA school the same way 137 other schools did, right? So that link, it's literally the exact same link. It almost looks like it would be a typo, but it's not. You would just do that. Now, what's funny is the example I'm going to show you after this only has 1 link because I tried it with 2 links and it didn't work, right? So this always, again, is going to come back to testing. But I have seen, especially when I'm doing like more B2B type stuff, the 2 links seems to work well. A few people that are doing this right now are Anthony Morrison, Giancarlo Barraza, a few guys who are heavy hitters, 8-figure guys, 7-figure guys. They're doing this. It's working very well. So you just test it, right? 2 links or 1 link, but I would definitely try the 2 links. Okay. Here's a short Facebook ad. Here's one of my Facebook ads that I do for mine. It says, want to win the Tao of Jeet Kune Do for yourself or a friend? Yes, right? That's a yes question. And our free contest giveaway. And there's the link, right? And we spent $493, had over 2,600 leads come in just under a month. So it's really good. And that's a short format example. I was doing a long format, and I don't have the results of it, but it wasn't nearly as effective. So again, the picture is going to stop them. So in this case, the Bruce Lee picture, I'm targeting Bruce Lee fans. Bam, that's going to stop them. Then I need them to read and say yes. So Want the Tao of Jeet Kune Do? Yes. How do I do it? What's the clear call to action? Enter a free contest giveaway. There's the link. Bang, right?
Yeah.
So it's very simple, very simple. Okay, and this is the third kind of final segment of this presentation. I'm going to be showing you the 7 steps to writing emails. Now, there's actually a 4-step formula that I've used as well, but this one is a 7-step and it works really well. So let me go into it. So the first step is the subject line, right? And one of the things that I've discovered is that you always want to end your subject line in either a question mark or those 3 dots. I believe they're called ellipses. I could be wrong. It just shows that you can be a copywriter.
That's what they're called. That's what they're called.
Yeah. See, I don't even have to know how to spell them. You can still do this, right? But yeah, I would end it in either the question mark or the ellipses, and then you want to make sure that your subject lines are 7 words or less. For example, are you a 3%er with a question mark, right? That's less than 7 words, and it asks a question, and so that generally will get open. The other example with the ellipses, how to ethically hack it's an incomplete sentence. There's the 3 dots, and it makes them want to click to see what the sentence actually says, right? So the whole point of the subject line is just to get them to open the email. It's very similar to the whole Facebook ad thing where I was saying you're selling the click. Here you're selling the open of the email, right? We're not saying there's like a 99% off deal, get this right, you put your whole sales pitch in there. It's not the purpose of it. It's just to get open. So step number 2 is your opening copy, right? So you want to start off with a personal story. And the reason I say that is because think of this like subject line number 2, right? If you look at Gmail, for example, you'll see the subject line of an email, and then in the preview pane, you'll see the first 1 or 2 sentences of what's actually in the email. So what you want to make sure you do is you're grabbing their attention with something that's personal, something that's a story-based anything will really work well. So that way it's not a pure sales pitch. If it says something like, Dear Carlos, blah, 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 I'm like, oh, okay, I can read that later. I can put it in spam. It's not that important, right? But if it's like, ever since I was 12 years old, I knew there was something different about me, something I think you'd relate to. You see, blah, blah, and then they have to click over to get the full scoop, right? So subject line number 2 is essentially step 2, which is the opening copy. And you want to start that before you say, Dear John, or hey, my name is whoever. You start with the opening copy. Step 3 is now you introduce yourself. So now you say, hey, Carlos here, blah, 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 because you've gotten them to open the email, and now you sucked them in with that initial story. So now it's okay to introduce yourself. If you would introduce yourself beforehand, or if you would have said their name beforehand, sure, you'll get some opens. But if you want to maximize how many people open your emails, I would follow this template, this model, right? Step number 4, you want to elaborate on your story. So the story that initially sucked them in the beginning before you said, hey, my name is whoever, you want to wrap that up and tie it in with something that they're already interested in, right? So you think of it like the big moral of the story and what the kind of the whole point of it was. If you're just talking about you running around a park, that may not, sure, it may pull people in for a second, but if you don't tie it into, how that's going to benefit their business or their life or whatever it might be, then you're going to lose them and you wasted an email. So you always want to make sure you tie it in and have it kind of like a moral of the story, right? And then you want to have the big plot twist, right? So again, very similar to the Facebook ads where you say, here's like the light at the end of the tunnel, here's my email example. But then something unexpected happened, right? Very similar to my other transition phrase, but then something crazy happened, right? So these transition phrases, they're canned. You can literally write down a few of these and just use them in almost all of your ads, or you can change them up so they don't all sound the same, I guess. But it's a very powerful thing. If you've got a list of transition statements, you can go from sad to happy, from doom and gloom to happy and prosperous, or whatever it might be. But you always want to have those plot twists in there. It keeps people engaged, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a sales email, then I would always include a testimonial, right? So there's a few different types of emails. There's emails that are essentially very short and just, get the click, and literally everything about the sale is done on the sales page. Sometimes, though, you can use your emails to have longer copy. And if you're going to be doing like 1,500 word emails, which is pretty long for an email, you want to make sure you're doing that as a campaign of like 14 or 15 emails. Don't just mail them out once with like a 1,500 word email campaign that's like a big thing, and then be like, oh, well, I didn't get that many sales. you need to do it repetitive. Like it's just a repetitive thing. You have to do it all the time, at least for 14 or 15 days if you're going to do those long sales emails. So the only reason I bring that up now is because with the social proof, think of it like writing a mini sales letter, and you're always going to include at least one testimonial in these emails saying, hey, and you know what, Jimmy over here got the course and here are some of his results, right? And Sally over here got him and here are her results, and whatever it might be, right? So you still want to include social proof. And then step 7, you show them what to do next. You lead them very clearly with a very simple call to action. Now, one of the things, so you say, hey, just like an example, you can get the full scoop here, and then you put the link. The thing that's worked very well for me is keeping the exact same copy as the subject line for the actual link text, right? So if they opened an email that said boogers from Mars or whatever, however weird that is, I saw something like that recently. That's why I'm saying it. But it's very weird, right? It got me to open it. Then you would want your link to say boogers from Mars with like the 3 dots or the question mark or whatever it might be, because it obviously got their attention the first time enough so that they could click. So there's a good chance it'll get their attention again and get them to click to follow through on that message and figure out the answer or whatever it might be, right? So always test that. Like literally 90-some% of my copy will almost always have this structure for the link. It'll be the same as the subject line. And if it's not, it'll literally just be a call to action that says, click here to go to the next step. And that entire thing is a link, right? So it's either very clear or it's just going to be the same copy as the subject line. So resources. So we've come to the final end of the presentation. And here's where I'm going to be offering you my lazy email marketing course. And when you get this course, you're going to be getting 43 killer headlines to grab attention. Headlines you can use for emails, for sales pages, VSLs, pretty much any type of promotion, you'll be able to use these headlines. On top of that, I've also included over 500 different subject line templates, which I've used and will definitely increase open rates. So you want to make sure you can literally just plug and play out of all the different 500 templates. On top of that, you're also getting 33 email templates that you can use for different types of promotions, from webinar campaigns to delivering a lead magnet to cold emailing to whatever it might be. You have 33 different templates that are like 90% done. Just fill it in with your business service and bam, you're done. On top of that, you're also going to get access to bonus video trainings where it's also correlated with the exact sales letter and email samples. So we'll be going over the sales letters that are winning, emails that are kicking butt, and we're going to be going over all the psychological triggers on what's actually making those pieces convert, so you can do that in your business. On top of that, you're also going to you're going to discover the simple 4-step formula for writing successful emails from scratch. This is actually the thing that I just mentioned. I use this more than anything else, and it's crushing right now. I used to do a lot of the 7-step emails, and when I transitioned to 4-step, it just freaking took off. So that's huge. And on top of that, just like any good offer, it's all backed by our 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you get it now, it was originally going to be $997, but because you're at this virtual event, you can get it for only $397. Just go to copypastetemplates.com/order now. Again, copypastetemplates.com/order now. Thank you so much. Hopefully this was valuable.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. It's certainly something I'm going to review.
Yeah, definitely.
My copy has not been my strong point.
Hey man, well, one of the best things though, that's why we put my girlfriend actually writes copy with me as well. So she did this product together with me. And the reason we've done is we literally took all of the stuff that we've written for our 7, 8, 9-figure clients, from people who are in the biz op, make money industry, to health, to financial, fitness, so many different. We've literally just combined all the stuff that's worked, templated it out. And now everybody can just kind of copy and paste it into their own business to start seeing results.
Oh man, that would be sweet.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Is there anything else you need from me or anything else? I don't know if we have questions from the crowd or if that's there or if there's anything else you need me to do.
Oh, I don't. Let me check really quick. I'm not seeing any questions here. But there might be questions that come up.
Sweet.
Yeah. So.
Well, perfect. Yeah, just let me know, and then we'll go through and I can answer them as they come up or whenever they come up. And yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let's see. I will stop our live stream.